What's going on, people, and welcome to a brand new episode of Too Many Games and Not Enough Time, the podcast where I get to speak to incredible gamers across the globe. Not just the area, Craig, the whole globe. I'm your host with the most, the one and only Mr. Midas. Now, I'm lucky enough to speak to some incredible people on this show, but there's a few people who gas me up. I'm like, why are they even here? Do they really want to talk to little old me? Well, the guest we have today is one of these people, because he is Buster Sword Gang. He is one of my favorite Final Fantasy content creators. He's a Twitch streamer, a YouTuber. We are talking pink headset and the swagger for days, and easily the best theme tune on YouTube. Bltzz, what's going on, my G? Welcome to the podcast.
My dude, what a fire intro, yo. Appreciate you. Honestly, I'm excited to be here. I know it's been in the works for quite some time, but honestly, it couldn't be a better time. Getting into February now, it's probably going to be the busiest the channel has ever been. And quite frankly, I'm looking forward to the challenge. I'm looking forward to the excitement between so many fire releases, you know?
Fam, listen, I don't even know how you are keeping up with the content, because you are banging out videos left, right, and center. And the games that we're going to talk about now are not even out yet. But we're going to get straight into it. Final Fantasy, see my Buster Sword behind me. Like, this is Final Fantasy VII is a game that is hugely important to both of us and a huge part of our careers. And I came across you. You actually, one of the few people who actually schooled me on the synergy for Final Fantasy VII remake, and then I've been watching your content ever since. But I want to know, how did you fall in love with the franchise? Like, where did this passion come from?
Honestly, I've always grown up with like games, and my cousins, I have an older cousin. He's about 6 years older than me. I'm 30. He's turning 37. His name is Kevin. Since we were kids, he's always put me on to all like the best games between like Street Fighter, Mario, Sonic, and stuff. But as we got older, like we didn't play FF7 on launch. We played it probably a year after. I would say 1998, 1999 maybe. But I remember he was visiting and he was like, hey, I got this new game called Final Fantasy. Like, we're going to play it. So he brought it over. He was staying over for the weekend. And, you know, prior to this, we've only played like fighting games. We've only played like Sonic and Mario. You know, those games don't have like a deep story. You don't really connect with the characters outside of like a narrative type of approach. But like, it just blew our minds. It's just seeing like playing an RPG that has a story, that has characters, and like you're following these characters, you're going through the story, and it just felt like that was the first piece of media that I ever played that I attached to, because I got to like journey with them. And I watched my cousin play, and he would read it out loud to me and we take turns, like, you know, with the controller and stuff. And I remember thinking like, oh man, this game has 3 discs. That's insane. Like, we're gonna try to beat it throughout this entire weekend. We got literally through disc 1 on Sunday, and you know the big thing that happens at the end of disc 1, like I saw him like crying. I started crying. I was like, oh my god, like there's no way. We got some Phoenix Downs, you know. Like we'll come right back up. No, none of that happened. So it was a really impactful like moment, especially like playing it and like experiencing it as a child, and you know, everybody's first traumatic I guess like introduction. but ultimately he ended up having to go home, and I really wanted to see how the hell the rest of the story played out. So where we lived in South Florida, we had a flea market called the Swap Shop. This is before GameStop, and it wasn't really easy to go out and like buy games, right? So
we're taking it back, kids. This is before you could just you weren't going on Amazon and just getting next day delivery.
No, not at all, man. We used to go to the flea market, and I'll never forget this guy. This dude in the back of Swap Shop, for people that are watching that might be in Florida that I've ever visited back in the 90s, he had a cowboy hat. He had a giant like stand with glass cases and a cage around him. And you'd walk up and you tell him like, you know, what game you want. And he tells you to come around the side. He takes the money, and then he hands you the game, right? So me and my mom, we go. I'm like, Mom, I really want to get this Final Fantasy game. She's like, yeah, okay, we'll go get the Final Fantasy game. And we show up and we're like, hey, we want to get Final Fantasy. So this guy doesn't like, this at this point, there's like 8 or 9 Final Fantasies. So he gives us the latest one. He gives us Final Fantasy 8.
Oh.
But I didn't know any better. So like, I get home, I'm excited. I'm like, all right, I'm going to play this. I'm looking forward to this.
Barrett and Cloud. And you're like, who is this brother? What is a gunblade?
Yeah, I see this intro and I'm like, all right, I don't remember this, but we'll keep it going. We'll see. Like eventually, Cloud might show up. Maybe he was a little bit further in. Bruh, like it took me like 30 minutes. Where I'm fighting, like I'm walking out in like the open world area, and I'm just like, man, I don't think this is the right game. Had no idea it was called Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
First, I didn't even know shit about Roman numerals, bro. I was so young.
That's dope. Do you know what? So 2 things that really stand out for me. I was talking about this to a friend, and I was like, when we were younger, like playing games with family meant bringing your console, like, or bringing all your games. I remember like going to cousins' houses and I would bring my Super Nintendo, or like my brethren would come over and I had my N64 and he'd bring all of his cartridges. Like that experience of gaming with family is super dope. And I never forget like the first time playing and like going through Midgar and just seeing the grand epic side and seeing a Buster Sword and seeing Barrett as like this gruff black character. And the only time I've ever seen black characters is like Balrog in Street Fighter, and really been taken on a journey. And I've played video games my whole life, and I always say Final Fantasy VII is the game that made me feel like a hardcore gamer. That's when I was like, I'm a gamer. Because before I played games, but I never classified myself as anything. And when I played that, I was like, yeah, I'm a gamer. This is what I do. I'm a gamer. So I never forget, there's a couple moments in my life I never forget. And I never forget the moment of watching E3. And this is before I even worked in gaming. This is when I was recording artists, but I would literally stay up and watch E3 because it's like ridiculous hours in the morning for us over here.
Right, yeah.
And I never forget watching and hearing the music. And I was like, this can't be. And then watching it, I'm like, this can't be. And then seeing Cloud walk and seeing the Buster Sword and losing my mind at like whatever hour it was in the morning in my mum's house, her shouting for me to shut up. What was it like when you first saw that they was remaking Final Fantasy VII?
So I personally don't think Final Fantasy VII isn't just like my favorite game of all time. I feel like it's one of the most important games in history. Like, not just gaming history, I think media history. There's so many like iconic things about it, between the characters, like hairstyles, the outfits, the Buster Sword. Like, there's so many things about it that just scream like pop culture, right? I actually wasn't making content back then. I was at work, and I remember I used to work at this job where I was a commissioned salesman at a computer store called Tiger Direct. They don't have computer stores anymore, I don't think. Everything's mostly online now, but we used to walk around with these booklets, and I remember having my phone in the booklet, and I was like sneaking it, and I'm just walking around the store, just looking at E3, and I just started freaking out because I heard the announcer. He's like, "They're coming back," and I'm like, because I started wilding out when I saw Barrett's arm. It's like I immediately knew. I was like,
yeah.
Oh my God. Because like at the time I was like, oh, is it going to be a movie? Is this like a pre like Advent Children thing that they're going to do? And then you see remake when the title like, goes ding and it says like remake. Oh my God. I was losing. I got in trouble, but like it was worth it.
It was definitely worth it. And you're not even there anymore. So like, I'm glad that's part of your journey. All right. So really quickly, because I don't want, we could talk about Final Fantasy this whole podcast, but you do a lot more than just that. So I don't want to just talk about Final Fantasy, but how was it? You was lucky enough to be flown over to the UK from Square Enix and actually get hands-on Final Fantasy. How was that experience, other than just breaking the game?
It honestly was mind-blowing to me because I started off doing YouTube. I'm gonna try to make this quick. Shoot. I started off doing YouTube, covering fighting games. I love all kinds of fighting games. I used to make videos on them, but I could never like capture an audience. But coincidentally, I had lost my job during the pandemic, and my company that I worked for just completely got dissolved, just like a lot of people. So I just got thrusted into doing content full time. I was already doing it from 2017, but it really didn't start taking off until 2020 with FF7 videos. And I'm like, this is full circle. My favorite game of all time, the game that got me invested into gaming, is now part of my career, catapulting my career in this industry, right? So long story short, we go from like 6K subs to 10K, and we continue to grow, 20K the next year, 30K, and then I hit a big boom with multiverses. I remember I went from like 55K subs in 2 months to 100K, which blew my mind.
That's incredible.
And it was an amazing journey, you know? And I really, at the time, I really wanted to work with Square Enix bad. And I have a lot of friends in the industry. We have a lot of people within the community, and I'm seeing them do all this like cool stuff. Like, because there was a 16 event before the one that I went to.
Yeah.
I think it was a month or two before. And I saw like, it was like mostly like UK content creators. And I was kind of jealous. I'm not going to lie. So I reached out to Square Enix, and I'm like, hey, like, when is like the USA like audience, the content creators going to get some love? Because like, you know, it's like, I get it. It's probably easier for them to set up over there, but like, we should be doing something too. Like, this is kind of wild, you know? And my contact was like, you know what? You're right. Like, we're gonna, I'll get back to you in a few weeks. We'll see if we could work something out. And I was thinking like, okay, we'll do something local, like not local, because I'm in Florida, but like maybe like LA.
Yeah.
But they come back to me and they're like, okay, we want to take 5 USA content creators to London to play 16. And I'm like, am I reading this email right?
You're like, wait, let me refresh that.
So they straight up was like, yeah, like, let's go. Well, we'll take you. I was lucky to be one of the 5. The other like 4 content creators are people that I honestly have watched for a long time and respect. Like, Fighting Cowboy was there. I got to meet him, he's been doing like YouTube guides for years, like full on Let's Plays and stuff. He's a big creator, and like, he's so chill, down to earth. Getting to meet him. Mr. Happy, the Final Fantasy 14, like the content creator of Final Fantasy 14. I can't tell you how many times this guy like carried me through raids just watching his videos, and like we're sitting here and I'm getting to meet these people and just having a good time. Curious Joy was there, Midna was there. It was a really good time, you know. And Square Enix treated us well. We got to play the game early, and it made me realize something. Like, in this industry, things aren't just going to come your way. Sometimes they will. A lot of times they will. But if you don't ask, things won't happen. If you don't actually push for that energy, you got to be not relentless, but you got to like reach out. You got to talk. And I feel kind of bad about it, because I feel like I missed out on the FF7 event recently because I didn't want to bother like the Square Enix employees. I'm like, you know, whatever. Like, I felt like it was something that was just going to come to me naturally, not like trying to like,
not at all. But obviously, like, you've built that relationship, and they've seen what you've been able to do from the last event. So be like, all right, cool. I'm in their mind for the roster.
Yeah, and I figured that would have been the case. Unfortunately, it wasn't, and that's something that I missed out on. I should have like kept on them, but like, again, it's like this whole journey is like a learning experience. You're constantly learning new things. You're having to remember things that you instilled in yourself early on. You're like, okay, I got to keep that up, and it's like, you know, you're running a business at the end of the day. Yeah. And I'm sure you understand that 100%, because like, you cover so many things, bro. Like, too many games is legit the problem that I go through all the time. There's way too many games. Like, this month coming up is just insane.
It's insane. And yeah, that's one of the things, like, one of the successful points I've been able to have in my career is being able to build really, really great relationships. And one thing that I always implore to all content creators is build relationships, reach out to brands, speak to them, because sometimes as well is there's so much creators, they might not even know who to reach out to, or they might know that you love that content, but they might not think that you want to come to an events and stuff like that. So that's really, really dope. And fam, like, your content's super sick, and I struggle to watch all your videos, so I don't know how you're putting out so much and staying on top of it. So it's sick. Another game that's coming out that threw me for 6 was GranBlue Fantasy Relink. Now, the reason why I say threw me for 6 is when I first saw it, I was like, wow, this looks amazing. This looks amazing, cool. And then, because I was like, Platinum Games, yeah. And then obviously Platinum Games and them kind of fell out. And I was like, okay, it's no longer Platinum Games. Cool. And then it kind of disappeared. Never heard of anything about it. And then Games, who created it, the PR company they worked out with, actually reached out to me and it was like, oh, can you come and check out the game? So I was like, cool. And I played it and I was like, oh my gosh, this game is incredible. So I've seen that so far from the demo, it has grabbed you by the neck. Like, how excited are you for GranBlue Fantasy Relink?
Actually, funny that you say that. I'm so excited that right after we finish this podcast, I'm going on my New Zealand PlayStation account and I'm downloading the early access copy. And just because apparently, right? So before, USA early access, like East Coast, was supposed to start at 10 a.m. this morning, like an hour and 43 minutes ago. They said, however, like for weeks now, like there might be some delays for maintenance purposes, so it's not guaranteed. Unfortunately, that was the case, and they pushed it till it's for the USA, like East Coast. It's not actually early access launching until tonight, 12 a.m.
Oh wow!
So right now it's live in Australia and New Zealand right now. So I'm so invested into this game. I love the characters. This demo has literally grabbed me and not let me go. Like, I cannot tell you the last time I played a demo and I put like 60 hours into it. There's 11 characters that they gave us to try out, and every single one plays different. The system mechanics are so good. I'm constantly learning new things every time I play it, and I think it's a really great system that they have put together. And like you said, like when I first heard about it, the only thing I heard was like, you know, Platinum's working on it. Now Platinum's not working on it, and the game kind of just like went away. I started to hear some things about it last year, checked it out, and I was like, okay, like it's pretty cool. But then the co-op aspect of it, like, really was like, whoa, really? They're gonna have co-op in this? Like, I could play with 3 other people and do like crazy end game challenges. Like they're monster hunting it basically. Yeah. And I'm like, this actually is a really dope concept. And then I play the demo and I'm just like, bro, this game has me. And I'm so like, I'm actually kind of jealous you got to play like early access. That sounded like a cool experience. I did see you put out a video for the co-op.
So I
review on it, right?
Yeah, so I got early access to do the demo, and then they actually let us play through the story mode and the co-op. Now, Bltzz, I am a story guy. That's me through and through. Story, I'm not like the co-op guy, but the co-op gassed me. I was like, the story is good, but I don't even care about the story. Like, it was so good, and it's because like Monster Hunter has never done it for me. Monster Hunter has never grabbed me the way it has my friends, and I've always wanted to experience something like that. And this is anime as hell, and like you say, like the characters are over the top, and it kind of reminded me, it gave me a bit of a feeling of Tales of Arise, like the way the combat is, but multiplayer, being able to play. And it was a group of us, like I was playing with Eric's Gaming and some other guys, and I was just like, this is what I've wanted, like to gas me for a co-op mode. And I'm like, I can play this as side quest during the story, I can play all of this end game stuff. I randomly started streaming a month ago because I'd never used to stream before, so I'm like, I want to stream this. So yeah, it's really got me excited. And like you said, like each character feels different and has unique. And when I played it, I was like, oh, this is sick, but it's pretty combat's pretty easy, it's pretty basic, it's not too complex. And then they showed us like one of the end level bosses. Yeah. Oh my fam, like the preparation they had to do, it was like next level. Like I was just like, how have they gone so deep in the mechanics? I didn't even think that was in it. So yeah, I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised how deep and engaging that co-op mode is, and I think it's going to grab people for a long time. Dude,
absolutely, man. They knocked it out of the park, because this is kind of like when Remake came and ended, and I would say like it was like 2020, I would say July, August time. I started to make like, okay, what are some ideas or things that I would like for them to do in Remake Part 2?
Yeah.
Right? And co-op was like a thing that I thought would be kind of cool, not like for the story, but like it would be cool honestly for the story, but mostly for like the VR challenges, because chapter 17 in Remake blew me away, like how wild and deep the challenges were in like the VR training, and I'm like, bro, they could do this. They could make it like a fun little like thing that you can interact with like friends and like do like a co-op system with it. The only thing they would have to do is remove the slowdown between the command list menu. You know, the time like slows down.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can't have that in a multiplayer type of setting.
I don't even use that anymore in Remake. I know it by the back of my. The only time I do it, and I'm lying, when I'm using certain spells, I do. But from platinum in it and playing it so much, I don't even use the slowdown anymore.
Yeah, you got the sauce, baby. So Relink, I'm grinning like ear to ear, man, because that game, it just does something. It's basically satisfying a what do you call it, like a urge, a consistency that I wanted to experience, and it just feels great.
Yeah,
the game feels great. The game is fun. The story is awesome too. So it's like it's a full package. You can't go wrong with it.
Well, we definitely have to co-op. Like, we definitely have to get a co-op game in.
Yeah.
All right, so I got 2 questions for you before we leave. We're only a short form podcast and we're running out of time. So 2 questions. Firstly, the most important question. You are Cloud Strife. Are we Team Aerith or Team Tifa?
Tifa.
All right, say no more. It's been said. Tifa for Tekken 8, please. And
yes.
What, really condensed, not going into too much detail, what are you most excited about for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth?
These characters mean a lot to me, and in Remake they did a great job with getting you to experience each and every single one, the relationships, and see how it expands. And in Rebirth, it's going to be that times 10, because literally the entire party, you're going to see them get together, they're going to have their banter. And that's something that I always dreamed about. Like, you know, as a kid, you don't really get to experience all of them on screen at all times. And then what Rebirth is doing is blowing my mind, because in the OG game, the party would always separate and they meet up at the next location, and then they kind of like talk amongst each other right there. You don't really get them together all the time.
Yeah.
However, in Rebirth, did I say Remake? I meant the OG, my bad.
Yeah.
In Rebirth, they're literally all running together in the field. They're talking shit amongst each other in battle. Like, it's just seeing these characters being brought to life in this way. That is what I'm most excited for. It's like the combat's going to be great. The story's going to be great, but it's just the characters. They're so iconic to me. I love them. I love their relationships. I just want to see that continue to get expanded.
Yeah, that sounds dope, my G. Bltzz, we have run out of time. I just want to say that, like, generally, I really, really enjoy your content. I think you're such a dope content creator. I feel like you've got such a great vision in terms of what your content is, speaking to your audience, and you are such a nice and humble guy. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast. If people are feeling the vibe, they love the swag, they want to know more about the pink headset, where are you going to send them to come find you?
You can find me on YouTube at Bltzz, BLTZZ, Twitch, same thing. I stream on both platforms, Twitter as well. You could find me there. I'm being more active in social media, and it's going to be a crazy packed year. We got a lot of content outside of Final Fantasy coming your way, so be prepared, guys. It's gonna be the busiest year, not just for myself, but gaming, and I'm ready, and I'm looking forward to bringing you guys the best of the best that I possibly can.
I love that. The best of the best that he possibly can. And the games, there's too much. Like, I need to know, what are you lot going to be playing first? Is it Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? Is it GranBlue Fantasy Relink? Is it Persona 3 Reload? Is it Suicide Squad? Are you playing Tekken 8 Story Mode? Fam, it's just like, February's just round the corner and we're getting all of these games. It's so much. But
we got to use pay time off for all of it.
Exactly. Well, what's much appreciated is you staying to the end of the video, because you are the MVPs. I'm Mr. Midas, he's Bltzz, and we out of here. Peace.
Later, guys.